Flotilla intercepted by Israel. An esoteric market creates community. Street art spots in the city. TED Talk comes to Lewis University. Good morning and welcome to this segment of Zeta Italy News. I'm Andrea Charur. And this morning we have news on the global Samud flotilla that was headed for Gaza. About 50 boats and an estimated 400 activists were intercepted by Israeli Marine forces in the night near Crete, 960 kilometers from Gaza. Activists called it a dangerous and unprecedented escalation and called on governments to condemn the capture in the middle of the Mediterranean, outside Israel's maritime borders. And now we go to the wall with Salvatrice Dana Campo to look more closely at the operation.
The scale of the humanitarian-led effort is unprecedented. With at least 60 vessels, the unified fleet officially set course from Augusta, Sicily on April 26, headed for the Gaza's coastline. The mission is motivated due to the humanitarian crisis. Latest UN reports say that 90% of the population has been displaced. Infrastructure for healthcare and water facilities are largely not working, and hundreds of thousands are facing IPC level 5 of catastrophic hunger. The fleet is now in its last 24 to 48 hours of transit before they reach the designated point of entry into Gaza's maritime zone. Israeli forces have intercepted a number of vessels using drone surveillance interception, communication jamming, and armed raiding parties. However, as the fleet approaches the 20 nautical mile boundary, they're employing a saturation strategy as they coordinate the approach of all vessels simultaneously. Due to the interception of Israeli forces, the global Samud flotilla calls on government's obligation to protect over 400 civilians on board and to uphold international law.
A thriving local community is bringing the occult into the modern day at a Rome market. Joseph Tulin has the story.
Witches, mystics, and tarot readers may be seen as people on the fringes of society or just characters in movies by many. But here, there is a thriving and diverse community who come together to celebrate the esoteric.
Every weekend, the Città dell'Alta Economia here in the south of Rome is filled with different types of markets, but perhaps one of the most special is the Mercatino delle Streghe, which takes place here once a month. It's the Witches' Market, and it's perhaps regarded as one of the most important esoteric markets in the capital.
To learn more about this world and to see what the future had in store for me, I spoke to Deborah, an experienced tarot card reader.
First of all, I believe that the future is a map or a design which you create through the way you feel, think, and act. Then, it's all up to how you work on your awareness of yourself and those around you. Tarot can help navigate this.
There's much more to this community than tarot. The market is filled with jewelry, clothing, and arts and crafts, all mystically themed. Sylvia is a veteran here and has been selling at these markets for nearly 4 years.
Our stand is called Tulinero and Rustics, run by me and my husband. We make artisanal jewelry with both semi-precious stones and crystals.
It may be different, but the overall message of the people of this community is a welcoming one.
Esotericism is not a dangerous thing. At least, nothing that happens here is dangerous.
Whether you want your future told, a spell cast, or just to browse, this monthly market is a great opportunity to connect with the mystical world.
The Festival del Oriente immerses Romans in the cultures, sounds, and traditions of the Asian continent. Davide Bertuzzi takes us there.
Thousands of kilometers, different cultures, and distant traditions were brought closer through a shared space where distance turns into connection.
We are here at the 22nd edition of Festival del Oriente in Rome. Tens of thousands of people are gathering to an event that's all about cultural fusion, creating the opportunity to build a living bridge between worlds that continues to sell out year after year.
Through performances, craftsmanship, food, and traditional disciplines, the event draws enthusiasts and curious visitors alike, offering a window into cultures often seen as far away.
I have the pleasure of engaging with the various Eastern cultures, and I find it very, very beautiful. It's an experience I recommend to everyone.
From pop culture to calligraphy, the event shows how modernity and tradition can coexist and influence one another.
this beautiful culture of Japanese calligraphy, which is not a writing technique, but rather an art, is a spiritual practice.
For many visitors, the experience is in moving through different worlds in one place, discovering new perspectives through encounters, performances, and shared moments.
Lewis University hosted its own TED Talk on innovation and entrepreneurship with several speakers. Alessandro Marchiello takes us now.
Lewis University has organized the 7th edition of the TedxLuiss event. Hosted by content creator Nicola Grecu, this year's theme is Living Space. The event took place on April 20th at the Lewis campus in Viale Romania, bringing together students, speakers, and creatives. The lineup featured voices from different fields, including art, finance, and social impact. TEDx is the local, independent version of TED, non-profit events where ideas are shared through short talks, each lasting up to 18 minutes. At Lewis, the entire event is organized by students, making young people the real protagonists of this edition.
Il tema è lasciare spazio, oggi vogliamo fare quello, vogliamo lasciare spazio alle idee, spazio al mondo che verrà e spazio alla nostra immaginazione.
In the outskirts of the capital, a vintage and artisanal market was held at a historic site. Matilda Risi takes us there.
In Rome's Tuscolana district, among the arches of the ancient aqueducts, the 692 Secret Garden hosts Roma Libera Fest. The outdoor venue has a scheduled program of live music, performances, and a vintage market characterized by a particular philosophy.
Per quanto riguarda la filosofia, in realtà, tutta la filosofia del vintage, di quello che noi praticamente esponiamo, è proprio quella, la capacità di cercare il capo unico in tante situazioni che ormai tra il fast fashion e tutto quello che c'è in giro non ce n'è.
Perché la funzione di questi posti è quella di creare connessione con le persone. E la mia filosofia di vendita è proprio staccare il concetto di oggetto snaturato e a sé stante e inserirlo in un ambito più trasversale, perché è un'esperienza.
The festival's second-hand market thrives on shared trust, stories, and a fair exchange over simple consumption.
Allora, io sono qui perché questo festival dà la possibilità di mettere le persone in contatto con il second hand e questo tema da un lato dà la possibilità al capo d'abbigliamento, all'accessorio di avere come un riscatto la possibilità di una nuova vita. Lo stesso abito che poi invece dall'altro lato dà la possibilità al compratore di mettersi nei panni di una storia passata.
Roma Libera Fest wraps up in a burst of energy, leaving the city echoing with its message of unity.
Rome blends ancient ruins with modern street art. Dylan Brown Wilkinson takes us to mural art hubs in the city.
Neighborhoods such as Testaccio, Ostiense, and Pignato have become hubs for a growing street art movement in Rome.
I'm by the Gazometro in Ostiense, one of Rome's most iconic neighborhoods for street art. The Lazio region has recently announced the Lazio Street Art 2026 call, allocating €200,000 to fund new public art projects. This initiative aims to fund street art as a form of urban renewal.
Il bando Lazio Street Art è comunque, anche se è una goccia nell'oceano, però comunque offre agli artisti emergenti, agli artisti in generale, l'opportunità di poter realizzare delle opere guadagnando qualche soldo.
The fund represents a transition towards art forms that were previously unsupported by local authorities.
In qualche modo ti comunicano, ti parlano e esprimono qualcosa, quindi in qualche modo poi ognuno coglie quello che vuole da quello che vede.
Più progetti, più art street, più qualsiasi laboratorio, qualsiasi cosa, benissimo.
The initiative will provide up to €15,000 per project, focusing on themes of local identity, environmental sustainability, and the protection of historical heritage in peripheral communities.
In the Testaccio district in Rome, the non-Catholic cemetery houses the graves of various historians, politicians, and writers. Ellen Gaza explains its significance.
The non-Catholic cemetery in Rome is a historic burial site also known as the Cemetery of Artists and Poets. Founded in 1716 by the Stuart court, who were exiled from Scotland when Protestants came to power, it contains over 6,000 graves representing more than 50 religious denominations from nearly 60 countries.
Nella corte degli Stuart c'erano i Giacobiti che erano protestanti e quindi il re chiede al Papa di dare una degna sepoltura anche a coloro che non fossero cattolici.
On April 27th, the cemetery holds an annual ceremony to commemorate the death of Antonio Gramsci.
Gramsci era un filosofo, politico, giornalista italiano e cofondatore del Partito Comunista.
There are also several Norwegians buried here, including the poet Helene Klaveness and the historian Peter Andreas Munch, who died in Rome in 1863.
Questa è la tomba di Andreas Peter Munch, un grande storico norvegese che viene in Italia per i suoi viaggi, diciamo, romani, e lui è lo zio di Edvard Munch, grande pittore norvegese che rappresenta in un suo quadro proprio la tomba dello zio quando venne a Roma nel 1927.
On May 17th, Norway's National Day, the Norwegian expatriate community in Rome holds an annual gathering at the grave of Peter Andreas Munch to celebrate. Beside the cemetery stands the pyramid of Gaius Cestius, built in 12 BC. As a relic of pagan Rome, it later became linked to the burial of non-Catholics and people of other faiths.
And that's all for today. I'm Andrea Charur, and this was Zeta Italy News. Follow us on social media at TedxLuiss and visit our website, zetaluiss.it. Until next time.